Very good morning to all. Today we will start with the next disorder, that is abnormal uterine bleeding. Here the name itself suggests that this abnormal means the bleeding from the uterine cavity is that is known as abnormal uterine bleeding. Abnormal uterine bleeding is bleeding between a monthly period. Okay? It is a prolonged, means the bleeding that is a prolonged. Normal average that is a 4 to 5 days, that is a menstruation bleeding, and at a regular interval of 28 to 30 days. Okay? Here that is a bleeding between a monthly period, but that is a prolonged bleeding or an extremely heavy period, means the duration is also very longer, and the bleeding, the amounts of blood loss is also very higher. This can be caused by hormonal changes, cancer, fibroids, polyps, or in the early pregnancy. It is also called a dysfunctional uterine bleeding. So if you have asked in the examination abnormal uterine bleeding or dysfunctional uterine bleeding, then the content will be same. Okay. So definition, that is a bleeding between the monthly period, but that is a prolonged bleeding or extremely heavy period, and that is caused by the hormonal changes, cancer, fibroids, polyps, or in the early pregnancy. Another definition, abnormal uterine bleeding is any heavy or unusual bleeding from the uterus. Okay? That is any of the heavy amounts of the bleeding or unusual bleeding from the uterus is known as the abnormal uterine bleeding. It can occur at any time during the monthly cycle and including the normal menstrual period. Okay, so there are chances that it can occur anytime during the monthly cycle, or they can occur at a normal menstrual period, means the interval of 28 days the bleeding can be there, but the amounts that is very heavy. Next, causes of abnormal uterine bleeding. Which are the causes or which can lead to abnormal uterine bleeding? Then first, that is a pregnancy is common cause. Okay, as we know that during the pregnancy there are so many changes, there are hormonal changes, physiological changes are there, so there are chances that there can be a bleeding, and if the bleeding is very higher during the pregnancy, then there are chances of the hemorrhage, that is known as antepartum hemorrhage. Okay, the antenatal mothers, they are having the hemorrhage. Okay, next, polyps or fibroids. Okay, polyps or fibroids, they are small or large growth like structures in the uterus. It can also cause a bleeding. Rarely a thyroid problems, means if any patients they are suffering from any hyper or hypothyroidism, infection of the cervix, or cancer of the uterus, that can also cause abnormal uterine bleeding. It is mostly caused by the hormonal imbalance in the teenager girls or in the women who are approaching a menopause, means that is two main age, that is a teenager and the menopause. Teenagers, in that the hormonal imbalance is there, and the women who are approaching, means who are almost reaching to a menopause. Okay? There are lots of hormonal changes will be there, so that can also lead to abnormal uterine bleeding. Some birth control pills. Okay, birth control pills, you know that the family planning methods, in that oral contraceptives they are given to a mother. Next, some emergency contraceptives are there, that is 72 unwanted are there. Next, injectables are there, so they can also an intrauterine device, that is a copper is that they can also cause abnormally bleeding. Next, hormonal replacement therapy. Hormonal replacement therapy, it is mostly given to a woman after the menopause to balance or to sustain or to reduce the sign and symptoms or severity of the menopausal symptoms. Okay, so the women who are taking hormonal replacement therapy, then it is a common cause of uterine bleeding after the menopause. And other causes include the endometrial and uterine cancers are that they can also lead to abnormally uterine bleeding. Next, diagnosis. How we can diagnose the abnormal uterine bleeding. Uh, First, most important, that is a blood test. Need to check the blood test for the hormonal levels because the hormonal is also one of the cause. Next, thyroid, if the patient they are suffering from hyper or hypothyroidism, and rule out the blood diseases if there are any blood disease. Or next, ultrasound, that is USG examination to make a picture of the pelvic organs, okay, to check all the pelvic organs, that uterus, tubes, ovaries, etc. Next, hysteroscopy. Okay, hysteroscopy to see the inside of the uterus, means a completely visualization of the uterus. Next, endometrial biopsy to examine the endometrial under the microscope. Okay, biopsy, you know that that is a sample that is collected from the endometrium. Next, sonohysterography. Okay, sonohysterography, it's a procedure that is to make the image of inside of the uterus. Okay, hystero, that is related to the uterus, and graphy, that is a complete image of the uterus. Next, MRI, that is to create the image of the internal organs, and lastly, CT, that is computed tomography to show a cross section of the internal organs and the structures. Okay, so these are the diagnosis of the abnormal uterine bleedings. Okay, under that there are so many conditions that comes under the abnormal uterine bleeding. They can ask individually or they can be asked in the one question, that is abnormal uterine bleeding. So according to the question you have to write down and you have to short out or long out as per the marks. Okay, so types in that, first, that is amenorrhea. Before moving to that, we'll quickly revise the amenorrhea, abnormal uterine bleeding, that is any amount of the bleeding that is heavier and that is a prolonged period, can be occur at also a menstrual period. Okay, next we have seen the causes. The causes, there are chances that the cancer is there, hormonal changes are there, then infection is there, contraceptive pills are there, IUD is there, so they can lead to abnormal uterine bleeding. Okay, now next we have seen the investigations, how we can investigate. In that we have seen the blood test, ultrasound, hysteroscopy, endometrial biopsy, sonohysterography, MRI, and the CT scan. Next, that is a menorrhagia. Okay, menorrhagia, it is used to describe a period with heavier flow than the normal. Means the mothers or girls, they are having a heavy blood flow. The duration is the same, but only the effect is only the amounts of the blood will be high. By the definition, more than 80 ml of the menstrual blood loss during the period is known as the menorrhagia. Next is metrorrhagia. Metrorrhagia, this term describes any bleeding that happens in between irregular periods. Means the bleeding is there, but that is in between. Means that is no any regularity or no any fixed date is there. It can occur at any time. Next, metrorrhagia describe the combination of heavy period and bleeding between these two periods. Menorrhagia and metrorrhagia, there is combined effect, that is a menometrorrhagia. In menorrhagia, there is a heavy bleeding at regular interval, and in the metrorrhagia, there is any bleeding in between the regular cycle. So menometrorrhagia describes combination of heavy bleeding or periods between a periods. Other types in that, polymenorrhea. Polymenorrhea, that is a too frequent menstruation. Means the girls or women, they are having a menstrual cycle of only 21 days. After 21 days, they have retained a menstruation. That is known as polymenorrhea. This term describes a period that comes more frequent than every 21 days. Next, oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea, that is infrequent or light menstrual cycle. This term describes a period that comes at interval that is greater than every 35 days. Okay, so the duration is longer. The period that comes at an interval between the menstruation, that is 35 days or more. Next, metrorrhagia. It is any irregular non-menstrual bleeding, okay, as in bleeding which occurs between the menstrual period. Okay, so bleeding is non-menstrual. Okay, means the girls they are don't having any menstruation, that is very irregular, and that is due to any pathological. If there is any disease or any problem is there, then it can be there. Okay, so polymenorrhea, it is true frequent menstruation at 21 days, oligomenorrhea, longer duration greater than 35 days, and metrorrhagia, irregular non-menstrual bleeding between the menstrual period. Menorrhagia. Okay. Menorrhagia is a medical term for menstrual period which abnormally heavy or prolonged bleeding. Okay, in the definition we have seen that the this abnormally very heavy bleeding and prolonged bleeding is there. Although heavy menstrual bleeding is common concern, most women don't experience blood loss severe enough to be defined as the menorrhagia. Okay, so that is depending on the mothers, menorrhagia will be there. Okay, so the term menorrhagia, that is abnormally heavy or prolonged bleeding at a menstrual period, that is known as menorrhagia. Okay. Menorrhagia is prolonged and excessive heavy menstrual bleeding at regular menstrual cycle intervals. Now the definition must be clear. Okay. A menstrual cycle is not the same for every woman or every girl. As you know that there are chances or there are difference between the duration, the blood loss, some signs symptoms which are experienced by the girls or women. A normal menstrual cycle, it occurs about every 28 days and it lasts for about 5 days. On average, the menstrual flow is between 30 to 40 ml of the blood loss. Okay, so that are the normal parameters, that is 28 days, last 4 to 5 days, and the amounts of the blood loss, that is 30 to 40 ml. Variation in the amounts and duration of the blood loss is during a menstrual period is medically less significant than the bleeding, the pain, and discharge between the period. Okay, so there are chances that the bleeding, pain, and discharge it can be differ. Causes and risk factors. There is endometrial cancer. Okay, endometrial, that is a layer of the uterus. Inflammation or infection of the vagina, cervix, or pelvic organs. Okay, if there are any inflammation or infection in reproductive organs, that is vagina, cervix, or other pelvic organs, then it can also lead to increased bleeding. Next, polyps. They are small growths on the cervix or the uterine wall. Okay, they are just like the small tumors. Thyroid conditions, we have seen hyper and hypo both. They can alter the hormone level and can affect the bleeding. Other diseases, that is liver, kidney, blood disease, and the use of blood thinning drugs. Okay, if any blood thinning drugs are used by the mothers, then it also affects the bleeding of the menstruation. Okay, here there is a combined causes: hormonal imbalance, uterine fibers, means fibers form in the uterus, polyps, that is small structures, ovarian cyst, that is a cystic ovary, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome that we have seen. So ovarian cyst can affect the dysfunctions of the ovaries, means ovaries they are not able to function properly, they are not able to release the ovum or other hormones. Adenomyosis, that is the structures in the endometrium that the layers they're getting sticks to each other. Pelvic inflammatory disease, there is inflammation in the pelvic cavities and the organs of the pelvic cavity. Intrauterine devices, that is copperties, mostly affecting the bleeding. Other medical conditions, that is the liver, kidney diseases, and blood diseases. Next, cancer of the endometrial or other pelvic organ cancers. Next, pregnancy complications. that antepartum hemorrhage can be there, and use of the medications. These are the causes of the menorrhagia. Diagnosis, they are almost same as we have discussed in the abnormal uterine bleeding. Still will revise. That's a complete physical examination and a complete history taking. They are mostly recommended, and after that one or more tests or procedures that are done. In that first, that is a blood test. Okay, a sample of the blood may be evaluated for iron deficiency, that is for the hemoglobin level, anemia. Next, for the other conditions, that is thyroid disorders and blood clotting abnormalities and of hormones. Next, pap test. In this trace the cells from the cervix. And so, from the cervix, the cells they are collected and tested for any infection, inflammation, cancer, or changes that may be cancerous or may lead to a cancer. Endometrial biopsy, that is, a doctor may take a sample of the tissues from insides of the uterus to be examined by a pathologist. Okay, biopsy, that is by the procedure the biopsy, that is a sample is collected. Ultrasound, that is USG examination, that is imaging method that uses a sound waves to produce image of the uterus, ovaries, and the pelvis. Okay, here is a diagram of the hysteroscope. Like this, the scope is inserted and the visualization of this all the cavities can be there. Signs and symptoms of menorrhagia, that is, as we know that the mothers or girls they are experiencing a very heavy menstrual blood flow. Okay? So soaking through one or more sanitary pads or tampons every hour for several consecutive hours. So the girls for women they need to change the sanitary pads at every 1 or 2 hours, or they need to change the tampons and they become soaked through the blood. Needing to use a double sanitary protection to control your menstrual flow. Okay, so because of the higher menstrual, they needs to use a double sanitary protection. Needing to wake up to change the sanitary protection during the nights. Okay, so at the night they need to change the sanitary pads. The bleeding that is very longer than a week. Okay, so duration that is also longer, amount is also very high. Next, passing the blood clots means during the menstrual blood flow or with it, there are chances that the blood clots they are passed for more than 1 day. Next, restricting daily activities because the very heavy menstrual blood flow and very discomfort to a woman or girl, so they are restricting the daily activities due to the heavy menstrual flow. And due to heavy menstrual flow, the symptoms of anemia will start to develop, such as tiredness, fatigue, shortness of breath, and other anemia symptoms. Okay, so these are signs and symptoms of the menorrhagia. Okay, managements. How we can manage the menorrhagia? That is, first, that is iron supplements, because we have seen that there are chances of the development of the anemia. Okay, so to relieve or to prevent the signs and symptoms of the anemia, the iron supplements they are given. With the iron, advice should be given to take it with the vitamin C for better absorption. Okay, next with the supplements, the diet which are rich in the iron content that should also be advised to a mothers or the girls. Next, NSAID, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they are given to a mothers. Next, oral contraceptives. Oral contraceptives that you know that Mala and Maladis they are available. So they contain the hormonal content. So they can help to balance or to treat the symptoms of the menopause. Next, oral progesterone can also be given. And hormonal IUDs, they are like a patch that can be introduced inside the uterine cavity. So these are the managements of the menorrhagia, that is iron supplements, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, oral contraceptives, oral progesterone, and hormonal IUD. Okay, so that's all about the menorrhagia. Okay. Next, surgical management of the menorrhagia. In the surgical management means when it is very severe, then the women or girls they need to go for the surgical management of the menorrhagia. In that first, that is dilatation and curettage, that is DNC. You have heard the terminology that is curating. Okay, so dilatation and curettage, that is a procedure that is mostly done for the abortion. Okay, and for this, that is abnormal uterine bleeding. In this procedure, the doctors the dilatation means they dilate the cervix, and curettage means they scrape or suction the tissues from the lining of the uterus to reduce the menstrual bleeding. Okay? So although this procedure it is very common and often they treat the menorrhagia successfully, and patients may need additional DNC procedure if menorrhagia it reoccurs. Okay, so that is first procedure, that is dilatation and curettage, dilatation of the cervix and curettage, that is suctioning of the lining of the uterus. Second, that is hysteroscopy. Okay, hysteroscopy means that is a visualization. Okay, and hystero means that is a uterus. Okay, of this procedure it uses a tiny tube with a light, as we have seen in the diagram, that is a tube is used with the light source to view the uterine cavity, and it can aid in the surgical removal of the polyp that may be causing the excessive menstrual bleeding. Okay, hysteroscopy, that is not only the examination but it can also help to remove a polyp that is formed inside the uterine cavity. Next, that is a endometrial ablation. Endometrium, that you know that that's a lining or layer of the uterus, and ablation, that is a technique that destroys the lining of the uterus. Okay, so endometrial ablation it is a technique through which the doctor they permanently dislodge the entire lining of the uterus, that is the endometrium. And after the endometrial ablation, most women they have little or no menstrual flow. It reduces the ability to become the pregnant because endometrial ablation, the whole endometrium it has get destroyed. So there are chances that the it can cause also the infertility. Next, endometrial resection. Okay, endometrial resection it is a surgical procedure that uses a electrosurgical wire loop to remove the lining of the uterus. Okay? So here lining of the uterus, it is a layer of the uterus that is removed by the wire loop. Both the endometrial ablation and resection. The benefits to women who have the heavy menstrual bleeding or heavy menstrual flow, but they can lead to reduce the risk ability to become pregnant and increases the risk for the infertility. And last, that is hysterectomy. Hysterectomy, that you know, that is a surgical removal of the uterus. Okay? So if that is a severe, the mothers they are not supposed to be pregnant, they have child and they don't get the further pregnancy, then they can go for the hysterectomy, that is a removal of the uterus. Okay, so this is the surgical management of the menorrhagia. In that first, dilatation and curettage, that is dilatation of the cervix and removal of the lining of the uterus. That is next is the hysteroscopy, that is a torch is used and the visualization of the uterine cavity. Endometrial ablations means under that the endometrium that undergone the removal, and that is a completely the entire lining of the uterus they are destroyed. Next, endometrial resection with the wire loop. They are removing the lining of the uterus. And last, hysterectomy, that is completely removal of the uterus. Okay, so that's all about the menorrhagia. If you have any doubt, you can ask.